1 week or so into camp?
Not where we want to be, not a final product yet, but seeing a lot of really good things from a bunch of different players. I'm really excited about just the depth we have overall on every level. Some really good competitions going along, and it's been really, really exciting. Obviously, I think we had practice 6 yesterday, or 7. I don't know. Obviously it's camp time, but it's been a lot of fun getting ready to just coaching the guys through their successes and coaching them through their failures. And that's part of camp, right? This team is different than last year's team. We got different players, and so just finding out kind of what makes them go, right? How do they learn best? When we're in these different settings, whether we're in the stadium, on the grass field, right, in the meeting rooms, right? They learn better visually, and so it's been really, really exciting thus far.
Do you have to preach patience to yourself at all in camp, demanding 100% execution with guys, but yet knowing we're a week in, we're not there yet?
Yes, sir. I got to preach patience every single day, right, to myself and to my staff, right? But just having understanding that this is camp. As much as we want perfection, we strive for that every single day. But just trying to, push these guys to a place that they haven't been pushed to, and so understanding that we have young players who naturally, right, there may be a level of frustration, but as coaches, that's where the relationship piece comes into play at. And so it's been absolutely awesome just to continue to build those relationships. And I mean, Coach B says it all the time. When Walt was here, he used to say it all the time. Anytime you have an interaction with a player, you either building or breaking that relationship. And so, obviously with the season, right around the corner, and just the urgency to all the potential players that we have coming back, there is a expectation and a standard, not just from the outside, but from the inside. And, just continuing to preach, how our game's lost. I think more so on defense than anywhere in football, right? It just takes one player to be out of position or one player to do something wrong, and that affects the whole defense, right? That affects the team ultimately, and so just continuing to show them those clips during the course of practice, showing them when we're in film sessions, and making sure we learn from them.
Coach, it appears that incoming transfers are going to play a pretty prominent role, especially in the front seven of this defense. How important was it to go into the portal and grab those guys, and specifically, who are some that you're going to be leaning pretty heavy on?
Well, I don't know if it appears that they're going to play. I think just naturally, Coach always, our best players are going to play, right? And it's been some transfer guys who are doing well, some guys who've been here who are doing really, really well. I think just collectively as a whole, we have a bunch of depth at that position, right? When you talk about the course of a Big Ten season, whoever starts that season, there's just a lot of rotation. So all our defensive linemen are going to play. Whether they're the first guy announced or a backup guy, there's going to be a rotation there because we have to. But I'm excited about all the new guys in this program, right? From freaking James Thompson, Kurt Neal, Tommy Watt. All those, obviously, those are the notable transfers that people know, right? I think about Carter Hewitt, right? He's been absolutely freaking awesome. He's been having a really, really, really good camp, and I think the beauty about that, right, them being under Coach J-Mo, just constantly growing and learning, right? And it's been really, really exciting to see, and just watching them continuing to come along, right? I think about Demetrius John, right? He's made strides. He's getting better every single practice, right? I think about Angelo McCullum, who's been here, right? He's been having a really, really good fall camp. And so all those different pieces, right, we're going to need every last one of them. And I'm really, really excited about the depth of our D-line room and just the competition as a whole, because, I think that can be, if not the strongest, one of the strongest units on the team, truly.
Aaron, I want to ask you about third downs and kind of a struggle at times last season. What would you identify as maybe where some of those struggles originated, and what do you think the key is to improving their defense?
Well, I just think not making it easy for the offense, just getting the right person. The main thing is getting the right personnel on the field, whether that's a sub package or player substitution, right? I think when you're just stagnant and you stay in one thing from early downs to third down, you kind of make it really easy for the offense, and you get so comfortable with early down football, you kind of lose sight of not that third down isn't important. We all know third down is because you got to get off the field. But I think of like how bad we were on third down and we still managed to have success. Like, just imagine if we were really freaking good on third down. And so there's just been a personal inventory on myself. Like, who are the guys that give us the best opportunity in a particular package on third down, from a coverage standpoint to a pass rush standpoint, and then making sure we have the proper schemes intact, right, to isolate a player or to put a player in position to be successful, right, whether that's games up front or a specific coverage on the back end, right. There's going to be some guys on early downs, right, that may come off the field because we want particular guys in on third downs. And I just think really, really looking at that, you know, like how do we want to attack this offense this week on third down, right? They do things a little different, right? They do things get different when they cross the 50 as opposed to when they're backed up, you know, just making sure that we're always applying pressure to them and just not getting comfortable with what's taking place on early downs.
I also wanted to ask you about, we know the mayhem bout last year, but sounds like we've heard another emphasis on taking the ball away a little more. What's that look like, and what do you feel like that can do if you can take like 12 interceptions last year up a couple more?
Yeah, I mean, we all know, like, right, like at the end of the day, the ball is the program. You know, and anytime you take the ball away, you can literally demoralize a team, right? I think about the Michigan game, where I think part of our success in the Michigan game was that we were able to take the ball away. You know, you talk about turnover margin during the course of that game, or we gave our offense the ball more. You know what I mean? So like, taking the ball away, that's always going to be a point of emphasis when you talk about defensive football in regards to myself. You know, that mayhem built will not go anywhere, right? That's continuing to be a point of emphasis. Actually, Des Stroughton won it yesterday. He had a really nice play in practice that he made on an interception. But my point is that like we're going to continue to emphasize taking the ball away, because that's super important to just defensive football, right? Like, you can avoid a lot of plays down the stretch if you are doing what you can to, whether it's an interception or punching at the ball or stripping at the ball, or I mean just causing chaos and havoc, you know, from a defensive standpoint, to try to make sure that we give our offense more opportunities.
Juice Clark, talented player, obviously quick twitch athlete. Do you feel like he's taking that next step that he needs to take?
Yeah, man. I mean, Juice is in a, you know, like I think the beauty about Juice is he's in a room with Coach Parker, right? He bounces back and forth from Coach Parker to my room. He's in Coach Parker's room mostly, but like, I am so excited for that young man, right? Just seeing where he was last year and just seeing his growth as a player. I mean, he's made plays throughout the course of fall camp where I give you the Coach Parker eyes, right? Like he's made some incredible plays, because you get that excited about him. But he isn't the only one, right? Like Torrey Cox, right? We all know Torrey Cox is a really good player. Caleb Patterson, right? Tanner Heckel, Tyson Rooks. I mean, it's some guys out there for us that's gonna play a significant role for us out of all those guys I just named, on the outside and on the inside. Not even to mention Xavier Scott, Miles Scott, Matt Resetich, Matt Bailey, right? Ben Clausen, who nobody probably knows about, right? That's like my secret weapon right there. But my point is that like, we got a bunch of dudes that are very similar to Juice in terms of their athletic ability, and you get really excited about, because the future is as bright as they want it to be. But like, it's just understanding like it's a process, right? Understanding that although the ceiling is extremely high for you, make sure you continue to like get better in your craft every single day, because, you know, out there as a defensive back, like, there's no such thing as bad days, right? A bad day for a DB is you can give up three touchdowns and 200 yards of receiving, man, like in a heartbeat, you know. And so just always staying on point and always staying ready. But I'm really excited for him, but I'm just as excited for that room.
You brought up Torrey, and I was going to ask you about him. I don't know if this is just because of that Nebraska pick that he had, but when you talk about getting the ball, it seems like he has a knack for that. Is that accurate?
Some people just have it, man. Like, I think it's in his DNA. He's scrappy. You know, a lot of people look at his size and, right, they might say he ain't big enough or this and that. That dude is a football player in the definition of the word. You know, he's scrappy. He's put together. He's physical. He's as physical as anybody on our team, right? He packs a punch when he hits you, but he's violent, man. He's violent. I love how he plays the game, and I think he plays that way, right? Because he's always been told he's not tall enough or big enough, and so he just just has that chip on his shoulder, right? Coach always talks about having a chip on each shoulder, and that's how he operates, right? And he's a phenomenal young man, right? To coincide with that, but like he is really, really special in terms of his ability to take the ball away, you know, and continuing to have him, right, like in that category, taking the ball away, showing examples of it from every realm. I know LX had a couple of interceptions. Matt ended up with one. He probably should have had 3 or 4 of them, you know, but just continuing to show our guys clips and emphasize the importance of trying to take the ball away.
What kind of impact has Corey had in a year plus, just maybe on the secondary, but also just those guys in that room?
I won't even speak to the guy. I speak to myself, man. Like Corey's the good cop. You're looking at the bad cop, right? Like Coach Parker he's such just an array of energy, like so contagious, man. I can remember when we were going through the interview process, and you know, Coach J-Mo spoke to him before I did, and Coach J-Mo calls me and he was like, "Bro, I thought I was talking to you." I'm like, "What?" And so I get on the phone with him, and no lie, in about a 5-minute conversation of me talking to Coach Parker, I thought we might be related. Like I'm like that this dude has a ball of energy. He's positive. He's phenomenal for our room. He's phenomenal for the dudes in our program. He's been a high school ball coach. He understands what it's like to start at the ground floor and work your way up, right? He knows what tough love is. You're talking about, like, Coach B always talks about finding the right people in your program, and I can't say enough for what that guy has done for me, just in terms of, like, just him being around. Like, that dude walks into a room and it's something about him that attracts you to him, right? Like, it's something about him speaking, right? I listen to him anytime I leave my meeting room. As soon as I open my door to my meeting room, right, and you can hear him down the hallway and his door's closed because he's in there coaching and he's so passionate and it's just contagious. Like, and not only is that poured into our players, but that's poured into our staff. You know what I mean? Like I would be like ignorant to tell you how amazing of a DB coach he is, because he is a phenomenal DB coach, like incredible DB coach. But like that is only the tip of the iceberg of what kind of person he is, all right, and just what he brings to our room and our staff. And it's just so refreshing, because just having a dude like that, it's truly the definition of a brotherhood, right? Like that cat, like Corey's older than me, right? And I know in some professions, right, you look at age, people can look at age and not by a long shot, but people can look at age and be like, well, I don't really have to listen to him. Like, but that dude is as humble as can be, right? He listens to the players, listens to the coach. Like, he's always trying to find a way to improve and get better. Like, that's what I love about him, man, because like if you can have that ability and that mindset, you will continue to grow in every aspect of your life. And I can see why he has had success everywhere he has been. Because no matter your limitations on that island as a corner, he makes you believe you 6'8" and you run a 4.3, right? Like that's what he's pouring into our players. And so when you see them play with that kind of passion and that level of effort, like that's because that's being poured into them, right? And I am really, really excited about his future. I'm really, really excited about Corey as a person. I'm just really, really thankful for him. You know, like, I mean, I couldn't do it with just our staff as a whole. I mean, we got so many different personalities and awesome people. Corey's just one of many on our staff that really makes this place really special.
Coach,
And what do you want?
depth chart question. I think I know the answer, but in the back end, are those 5 returning starters solid, locked in, heading into this first scrimmage, or is it still open competition?
Nothing's final and solid. Everything is always open. You know, like obviously we got guys who we know can play football. I think we're always trying to find out who can continue to help us. You know, as obviously we head into the season. But no, there's competition at about 3 or 4 of those spots. You know, and there's some really good competition.
Does
Yeah,
this
what do
feel
you
like
want-
a year when you have more options and looks that you can present than ever, especially in the back?
Yeah, because I think this defense has grown. I mean, I don't know if sometimes Matt Bailey's a linebacker or a safety. Like truly, like just, I see him move around. I see him in the game. Like it's just he just brings so much flexibility to our defense, And then, right, I look at our inside linebackers and our outside linebackers. I mean, I think we timed Gabe at like running 20 miles an hour. That is ridiculous for a guy that size, So just the level in which he plays, and look at the guys up front, like James Thompson. I mean, those guys are like, they're freaky, And so I think they're going to give us the ability to kind of do some things and move some guys around and get into some different looks that I believe could be potentially problematic for offenses.
And I do want to ask you, what do you want Saturday's scrimmage to tell you about your defense?
That we cause chaos, right? That we fly around. Year one was for me was growth, right? I think about being a father for the first time. There's a lot of things you got to learn as a play caller in year one. Year two, right? I think about like trying to establish myself as a defensive coordinator, right? And I thought we did some good things. I felt like we left some meat on the bone in some situations, right? Year three, for me, for us, is about straight dominance, right? Scrimmage, practice, right? Walkthroughs, meetings, opponent, like we want to dominate, right? We want to leave no stone unturned, right? We want to truly dominate, and it starts with me as a coach, and then that permeates in our players.
Can I ask, we've talked so much about your personal evolution, but how do you evolve a defense? Because like you guys aren't the same that Ryan had in 22 or 23. So what's been your process of maybe treating that like an organism and helping that evolve?
Yeah, I think it's just due to your personnel, right? You can play a lot of man when you had 3 draft picks in the secondary, right? And I think we got some draft picks in the secondary, but these teams are really smart. They've kind of caught on a little bit, so you got to change up some of the looks and some of the coverages. I think it's strictly based on your personnel, right? We're going to be different than we were in 2022 and we are this year, right? We're going to be different than we were last year, and so like always trying to find intricate ways to get the right pieces on the field and to make sure that we have the guys and put the guys in a position to make plays, right? Like we know we got some really good players. I think over half of our roster, like 40 guys on our roster, ran over 20 miles an hour, right? We know we got some guys who can run. We know they're strong, but how do we put those pieces in the right position? And I think that's the beauty about being a coach, right? And the beauty about being a play caller, right? Like what can be problematic to offenses, right? Well, it helps having an offensive coordinator right down the hall. Hey, Barry, how would you block this look? Coach Miller, how would you block this look? Man, this will be a really, really hard look. So just gathering feedback off each other as we take it and try to use it against opponents, and just constantly trying to make each other better day in and day out.
You've thought of various different
Let's
ways
finish with this one over
to
here.
create mismatches for Gabe Backus, and not to give away trade secrets and how you going to use them, but do you anticipate the same kind of thing? Or?
I think Gabe on the field is creating a mismatch for Gabe because I think Gabe is just a really talented player. Obviously, he has a lot of athleticism. He has a lot of ability, right? Gabe naturally is going to cause and bring attention, right? So will teams single block him? Maybe. They probably will. Maybe they'll double him sometimes. But I'm not really more so concerned about Gabe. It's like everybody else, right? Because I think about Johnny Newton, right? In some games, like Johnny Newton was triple teamed, right? Sometimes he was doubled a lot of the times. Well, if that's happening, that means somebody's in a one-on-one, and they got to win, And so I guess without giving under the secrets away, I think we've created a really, really good group of D-line and linebacker secondary guys that are going to allow us to do some things schematically that is not just going to allow Gabe to have success, but a bunch of guys to have success.
Thanks, Coach.